Howdy folks, we're checking out some old school stuff today, things that used to be a big deal but are now just memories. Remember those phones hanging on the wall with cords? Yeah, those are long gone. And what about water beds? They were a thing too, but you won't find them around much these days. It's crazy how technology moves on, right? So, get your snacks ready, hit that like button, and let's get into it. In the early 1900s, having a wall-mounted corded telephone was a big deal, a sign that you were doing well. Roll into the 2000s, and those things were out. What happened? Wireless technology took over with cordless phones and smartphones, giving us the freedom to move around. Back then, having a corded phone on the wall was a status symbol. It was like saying, "Hey, I'm doing pretty good for myself." People saw it as a mark of progress in modern living. Now, it's all about the freedom to move, not being tied to a wall. The corded phones that once symbolized status became outdated. They couldn't keep up with the pace of wireless tech. It's not that they weren't cool in their time, it's just that times change, and so does technology. You know those days when you had to rewind tapes? Back in the 1970s, VHS players and tapes were the kings of home entertainment. They stuck around for a good while, but as DVDs and digital streaming came into play, things changed. The top-notch quality and on-demand content of DVDs and streaming made VHS take a back seat, just gathering dust on the shelves. Back then, VHS was the go-to for watching movies and shows at home. It was a big deal. Everyone had a collection of tapes, and you needed a VHS player to enjoy them. Slowly but surely, people ditched their VHS collections for sleeker, more modern ways of watching stuff. So, next time you see an old VHS tape lying around, it's not just a piece of nostalgia. Back in the 70s and 80s, people went nuts for waterbeds. They were all the rage, you know? But here's the deal. Leaks, headaches with maintenance, and improvements in mattress technology put an end to the waterbed era. Nowadays, when it comes to catching some Z's, we've moved on to memory foam for a solid night's sleep. Those waterbeds, they were like a cool fad. Everyone wanted one. It was like sleeping on a gentle wave. But as time went on, reality set in. Dealing with leaks and keeping those things in shape was a hassle. Plus, the mattress game got an upgrade with memory foam. It's comfortable, supports you well, and doesn't come with the drama of a waterbed. Back in the day, before we had fridges like we do now, folks used iceboxes. Picture this, waiting around for the ice delivery guy. It was a thing. Then, in the 1950s, electric refrigerators stepped in and made life cooler, no pun intended. They took over the scene and put an end to the whole icebox routine. Imagine dealing with the hassle of waiting for someone to drop off a load of ice, just so you could keep your food from going bad. That was the reality before the electric refrigerator era. So, before electric fridges, people were all about the icebox life. But once those electric fridges rolled in during the 1950s, it was a wrap for the icebox era. Life got cooler, literally, and way more convenient. In the old days, having a big house meant having a whole bunch of people living in to take care of things. It was the norm, but fast forward and we've seen some shifts. Society changed and technology made things easier. The result? We don't need those massive servant quarters anymore. Nowadays, it's all about making the most out of the space we have thanks to our tech-savvy homes. We've got gadgets and gizmos that can handle tasks without needing a small army of live-in staff. It's not about having huge quarters for servants. It's about being smart with our space and using technology to get things done. So, in the 18th century, live-in staff and sprawling servant quarters were the deal. But now, our homes are different. Back in the day, when you had to move stuff between floors, the go-to was the dumbwaiter. It was like a mini elevator for goods. Picture this. You've got heavy things to shift between floors, and the dumbwaiter was your solution. It was a handy little contraption, like a helper for the heavy lifting. But as time rolled on, technology started booming, and building codes leaned towards the sleeker, more efficient modern elevators. From the 50s to the 70s, dumbwaiters were in the shadows. It wasn't that they weren't doing their job, it's just that the modern elevator stole the spotlight. So the dumbwaiter, once the hero of vertical goods transportation, kind of faded into the background. Back in the early 1900s, houses had these milk doors, little hatches for the daily milk delivery. It was a routine, you know? In the old days, having a milk door was like having a direct line for your daily supply. The milkman would swing by, drop off your milk, and life was good. When refrigerated trucks hit the scene, it was game over for the quaint charm of the daily milkman visit. No more waiting for the milkman to show up. You could just grab your milk along with everything else during your weekly grocery run. So, those milk doors that were once a staple of early 20th century homes, they became more like a relic of the past. Back in the late 19th century, when folks were figuring out this whole electricity thing, they came up with knob and tube wiring. It got the job done, but here's the kicker. It wasn't exactly the poster child for safety. This system didn't have the safety features we expect nowadays. So, as people started caring more about safety, they ditched the old knob and tube wiring for something better. This system didn't have the protective measures we have in modern wiring. No wonder folks started looking for something safer. The demand for safer alternatives grew, and that's when knob and tube wiring started getting the boot. People wanted a wiring system that wouldn't make them worry about fire hazards and all that. Back in the day, vinyl players were the go-to for music lovers. And I mean until the 90s. That spinning disc was like the heartbeat of our music experience. But, you know how it goes, digital took over. CDs and MP3s became the cool kids on the block. And now, streaming services are riding the new sound wave. Vinyl? It's more of a niche thing these days, but man, the nostalgia it brings. Those vinyl players, they were something else. People had these collections of records, and dropping the needle on the groove was like starting a musical journey. But the 90s rolled in, and the digital takeover happened. Suddenly, CDs and MP3s were the talk of the town. No more dealing with delicate records. It was all about that sleek, digital convenience. Back in the day, smoking indoors was just how things rolled, and you'd find these wall-mounted ashtrays hanging around in homes. It was the norm, part of the furniture almost. But as health awareness kicked in and attitudes about smoking changed, those ashtrays disappeared. It wasn't a gradual thing. It happened as smoking regulations got tighter in the 90s. Imagine it, lighting up indoors, ashtray right there on the wall for your convenience. That was life for a while. Now, if you walk into a place with a wall-mounted ashtray, it's like spotting a vintage piece. Smoking indoors? That's a thing of the past. It's just the way the wind blew. And those ashtrays became a thing of nostalgia for some, while the rest of us breathe easier. So, that's the rundown on how our homes have changed over time. Any of these things tugging at your heartstrings? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to hit subscribe and stick around for more blasts from the past. Until next time, let's keep it in the nostalgia zone.